It's got me nervous, boy.
Why?
What they call them? Patent trolls? Yeah, documentary. Do you know what patent trolls are? People that go and just buy patents for all kinds of phrases and statements and then turn around and sue people for using them.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
And last night we were watching a documentary and I was like, wow.
That's how a lot of people got rich in the when the internet first started, because a lot of people just went out and started registering names before people knew what it was.
Yeah.
McDonald's got caught up in that. He actually didn't sue McDonald's. McDonald's wanted McDonald's.com. The guy had already registered it. And he went to McDonald's and said, hey, pay me X amount of dollars. McDonald's tried to sue him. They lost.
Yeah. I didn't know how serious it was. They say most people sell it because it costs too much to fight it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, it's called a good old American capitalism. All right. Y'all have a good holiday. Y'all be careful.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views
No, I don't do those kinds of things anymore.
Advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Black Focus Radio. New Year's Eve. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. If you'd like to call the show and wish someone a happy New Year's, or I'll tell you one of the things that I'm going to have a segment today on, things I'm not taking into the new year, or I should say, things you shouldn't take into the new year. So I've got one thing on the list already, and it's kind of comical, but I'm going to say it anyway. So stay tuned for that a little later on in the show. Also, if you would like to download the show, go out to, make sure you go out to your favorite podcast platform, whether it be Spotify, Google Play, Apple Play. There are 8, 9, 10, 30 million of them out there. If just Google Black Focus Radio or search in the podcast platform, Black Focus Radio, and you should come up. And if it's not in that podcast, that just means that company is a weak company, okay? Because it's in all the better ones. So remember to do that. Also, download the Joynet Radio app. Go out to joynetradio.com where you can listen live, or you can download the app, which is preferable to us. And that way you can listen to us and carry us everywhere you go. But again, if you do need to listen another day, you can certainly download the podcast and then follow up with that as well. 855-525-5683 is a number. That's how you get in touch with us if you want to join the show today. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. It is New Year's Eve. And just a quick public service announcement. If you were listening to the Power of Justice prior to this show, you heard Rizal talk about a company that is going to provide free rides for the maniacs tonight. And I will also tell you, and I'm not getting paid for this, but Yellow Cab is also providing free rides from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. tonight. Okay? So if you get your snoot full, don't guess whether or not you can drive, because the police will be everywhere. Okay? So make sure you just simply call, and I'm going to give you the number, 72s. All right? It's easy to remember. 222-2222. All right? Call Yellow Cab. They'll come pick you up. It is actually, the fee is free. It will cost you nothing. As a matter of fact, this fee will be paid by a local lawyer's firm. Okay? So I'm letting you know right off the bat. I get paid not to say this at all, but I know this is a dangerous, dangerous night for a lot of people. The other thing I want to say about tonight, that if you are one of those idiots, and yes, I am calling you an idiot if you do this. If you are one of those idiots who feel the need to go out with your gun and shoot it at midnight, just be aware that what goes up must come down. That's not a saying. That's not something cutesy. That's called gravity. Okay? So when you shoot your gun into the atmosphere, it doesn't go somewhere into space. It actually is affected by something called gravity and is pulled back to the earth. And if it hits a human being, it will, in all likelihood, kill them. That's a fact. I lived in Memphis, and that happened one night, and a young boy ended up losing his life because a guy shot a rifle into the air. And the irony is that the police were actually able to trace the bullet and ultimately ended up finding the guy who shot the rifle. Yeah, he did some time. Okay? Another instance was in Nashville. We were at Pops on the River for the 4th of July, and instead of people being excited about the fireworks, someone decided to shoot a gun in the air. And sure enough, a lady who was on the bluff in downtown Nashville was hit by the bullet in her chest while the fireworks was going on. So I'm not just saying this. I tell you all, I like science. This is science. You may not understand science, okay? But I'm going to say it again. What goes up does come down, okay? So don't be shooting your gun in the air. Just don't do it. Stop. Don't even think about, man, I got me a new pistol. Man, I can't wait till tonight, man. I just, I'm gonna just let it fly. And just remember, when you let it fly, the potential is that someone somewhere could be hit. I remember when I was I grew up in a house that had aluminum siding. My mother was one of the first people in the neighborhood to get aluminum siding. Man, it had to be, my gosh, 40, 50 years ago. She was the first. And New Year's Eve, back in the day when people were shooting off their guns, and you would hear that stuff hit the siding, tack, 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 tack. So that's some real stuff, folks. So I want you to know about that. Be careful. And again, tonight, even if you're not out drinking and you're just out, be aware. Have your head on a swivel, because there will be people who will ignore all common sense tonight and will put your life in danger. So please, 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 have your head on a swivel if you're going to be out driving tonight for whatever reasons. Some of you guys out there who are Lyft and Uber drivers, have your head on a swivel, because tonight is a dangerous, dangerous night. Okay? Now, one of the other things I want to talk about is things, and we'll do this throughout the show, and I'm sure other things will pop into my head, but things that you shouldn't take into 2020. One of them, in my opinion, y'all all come up with all these New Year's resolutions. I'm going to tell you, I don't do New Year's resolutions. What would happen? Think about this for a minute. When I was reading some stuff on Facebook this morning and reading the news, and everybody was making all these resolutions and things of that nature and what they're going to do. I'm so sick of that, because y'all say, well, I'm not going to do this in 2000 the next year. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Because if you don't really do something subconsciously and mentally to change your old habits, you're going to bring those same old habits into 2020. So I got to thinking, what are some things that people shouldn't bring into 2020? And I'm going to be honest with you. Some of y'all are going to get mad at me. But let me just say this. Fat women with big butts, please don't bring those spandex pants at Walmart into 2020. Stop. Please. Okay? Come on. How much is too much? And pun intended. It ain't pretty. It doesn't look good. The other thing, that reminds me, stop wearing your pajamas out in public. Well, where did that come from? Don't bring that into 2020, okay? Can y'all do a black man a favor? Big women, no spandex pants. I'm going to be totally honest. I think y'all need to get rid of those spandex pants altogether. Those things are a problem. Come on. Think about it. Even you little fine, sexy ones. Come on, stop, please. I'm trying to walk down the street, and it causes accidents. Just stop the spandex pants, please. Please. And white women with no butts. No, let's stop the spandex pants. Because how do you sit in a chair? Because, when you sit in a chair, and then, them spandex pants are slippery, you just slip right on down on the floor. Come on, man. Stop. I'm trying to save you an injury. Please. The other thing, man. And I ain't trying to be mean with nobody. But these eyelashes, man. Sisters, what is going on with you all with these eyelashes? My goodness. Some of y'all have eyelashes so long that all I got to do is grab you and flip you over, and if I need to sweep the floor, I can sweep the floor with your eyelashes. Come on, man. That's too long. With the snowing, all you got to do is use your eyelashes to wipe the snow off your windshield. Come on, man. Them long eyelashes, that ain't sexy. That's ugly. Don't get mad at me, okay? This is stuff y'all shouldn't be bringing into 2020. Man, I saw a girl last week, and I'm willing to bet you that her eyelashes were 2 inches long. When she'd open her eyes, her eyelashes doubled as her eyebrows. Damn! What the hell is that on your face? That ain't pretty, man. I'm sorry. Oh Lord. Don't get mad at me, okay? I'm just trying to, talk about a few things today. And I'm sure y'all got some stuff that you don't want to bring into 2020. I'm sure y'all got some stuff you don't want to bring. Come on, man. We got to start thinking more positive. We got to start thinking more positive about how we want to look. And by the way, if he beating you this year, he's going to beat you next year. Get rid of him. I'm just saying. If you want to change your life, you got to look at what's going on. Don't be blaming other folks about what happened. And here's the other thing, too. Like I said, I don't make New Year's resolutions because I try to live my life every day as a resolution. Sometimes I live up to that. Sometimes I fail. And see, that's what's so stupid about New Year's resolutions. What would happen if we used the energy on New Year's Eve to live our lives to make changes every day? What would happen? What would this world really be like? What would happen if the energy that we spend trying to make sure that little kids get toys on Christmas and everybody gets food and we have free dinners here and there and everywhere, what would happen if we did that every day? Because we have the capacity to do that in this great land of America. What would happen if we did that? I'm not trying to be philosophical here. But this is why New Year's resolutions annoy me. Because, see, to me, they're fake. The goodwill towards men during this holiday season, it annoys me because it's fake. Because if you're not living that life every day, then you're a damn hypocrite. And that's my point. So what I want you to take from this little diatribe right now is that instead of making a New Year's resolution of how you're going to be better next year, because you don't need December 31st to make a resolution. You could have made a resolution July 30th or September 10th or August 14th. Don't wait till the end of a year and say, oh, I'm going to change. Look at your life every day and try to figure out what's right, what's wrong, and fix that every day. That's what will make you a better person. If you want to lose weight, don't wait till December 31st. Say, tomorrow I begin my diet. I'm just saying, we can do better. And we do better by making changes, and really not just daily, but hourly. How do you make your life better day by day, hour by hour? How do you fix that? Every day, it's kind of like writing. They tell you that if you're going to write a book, you need to write every day. In the same place, at the same time. That's where you get your best results. I'm just saying, folks. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Okay? So there are a couple of other things that are going to take place tomorrow. Something called Paul's Law. Let's see. As of July 2017, it is illegal in the state of Arkansas to text or use social media sites while driving. Paul's Law named for a Jonesboro father who was killed in a head-on crash. The other driver was reportedly typing a text. Okay. How strict is Paul's Law? It bans texting and engaging in social media in any form, whether that's writing, sending, reading, or posting. You may, however, type in a phone number or a person's name in order to make a voice call. All right? So, voice calls while driving in Arkansas. Can you talk on the phone while driving? In Arkansas, the answer depends on your age and location. The fewer distractions means safer driving act. Outlines the restrictions. Okay. If you are under the age of 18, you cannot use a cell phone while operating a motor vehicle. Period. Voice calls and text are prohibited. Did y'all know that? So if you got a kid that's under 18 that is driving and they're using the phone, they're subject to a ticket. If you are between the ages of 18 and 21, you may use your cell phone if you use a hands-free device. Wireless headphones or Bluetooth speakers are allowed, but you cannot use a handheld device while driving. Texting is also prohibited. Well, it's always prohibited. Drivers 21 and older, you can legally talk on the phone while driving in Arkansas. Again, texting is always prohibited. So just so you know that they're going to start enforcing this tonight. So let's say, for instance, the police tonight will be looking for anything to pull you over. Okay? So don't be on your phone. Make sure you have a hands-free device. In fact, I'll be charging mine up today. Now, let me be clear with you also. People are going to start going to the party about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. They're not going to wait till midnight to get to the party. They're going to already be at the party. So be aware that traffic might be typical rush hour today, because a lot of people are going to get to the party early, because there are a lot of people who are serving buffets and things of that nature. Now, back in the day when I was out there kicking back like a fat rat, old school style, I actually wanted to get to the party about 6 or 7. That gave me a chance to eat, get me a couple of glasses of Kool-Aid, and kind of relax, have me my nice seat. When I didn't have VIP seating, yeah, I did have VIP seating at times, but it worked for me. All right, so I want you all to be aware of that as you move forward tonight, because, again, police are going to be everywhere. Okay? And good for them. Because if they stop you from driving drunk, if they stop you from killing someone, hey, more power to them. Because we've told you there's no reason why you should be driving drunk. Okay? I'm just saying. All right, so before we continue the show, we got to do Black Facts.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
All right, so today, since we won't be here tomorrow and the rest of the week to celebrate the last day of Kwanzaa, I wanted to talk a little bit about Kwanzaa, and I wanted to make sure that people understood Kwanzaa, particularly from our community. I want to take a shout out to Mayor Frank Scott. If you listened to the show yesterday, I was kind of chuckling at the beginning of the show, because what you all didn't know, that the mayor was texting me because I had, and it wasn't to call him out or anything, I just thought it was pretty neat. I remember when Prince, well, it was a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year, that on Prince's birthday and his death, they lit up the bridge in all purple. And if you've noticed that the bridge, you know, for Christmas it was red and green, and you know they light it up for different colors, and you know it's pretty neat. And you know, I was in Memphis this weekend, and they had the bridge doing all kinds of things over there. So yesterday in my tease, I asked the mayor, could he possibly change the colors of the bridge, or request a change of the colors of the bridge to represent Kwanzaa, red, black, and green. And he was texting me back and forth, and while the show was going on, I didn't say anything. And sure enough, last night, he was able to put up the colors red, black, and green. So I want to shout out to the mayor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And those of you, and you know, there are a lot of black people who don't know what those colors stand for. So when I do my rites of passage camps, I always have a red, black, and green flag and American flag, because those two are intertwined as it relates to black people. So the red is for the blood of the people that shed it. They shed it for the land of Africa. The black is for the people themselves. And the green is for the land itself. Okay? So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Big ups to you. It gives other people an understanding to try and understand what Kwanzaa is really all about. There have been people out there who've tried to bastardize this celebration. There have been people, black people, who will say, hey, I'm not going to celebrate Kwanzaa because that's of the devil. If it ain't of the Bible, it's of the devil. Well, you celebrate a whole lot of stuff that ain't of the Bible, and you don't claim it's the devil. Now, this holiday was started in 1966 by Maulana Karenga. And Maulana Karenga over the years have had some issues, and people have tried to say, well, see, I'm not going to celebrate Kwanzaa because of Maulana Karenga. Well, wait a minute. Don't you celebrate the Constitution and the birth of this country? Don't you go out and celebrate on the 4th? And many of you black people weren't even free on July 4th, 1776, but you celebrate that. And the same people who wrote the Constitution had slaves, but you still celebrate and live under the Constitution. So that logic is so stupid to me. This is something that was created, which I think was great. And as I said yesterday, I was so thrilled to see over the last 7 days so many people. I think since I've been on social media, I've never seen so many people celebrating and talking about Kwanzaa. When you begin to look at its value system, the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles, you begin to understand how much it is important for black people to have something to call their own. This is not to replace Christianity. This is not to replace Islam or Buddhism or Catholicism or any other ism that's out there. This is simply a celebration of blackness. And if you look at the Nguzo Saba, you begin to understand how important those 7 principles are to us and how we should take them honestly and live not just 7 days at the end of the year, but every day of our life. We must incorporate the principles of Nguzo Saba in our everyday lives if we are going to be the people that we claim that we want to be. So today, with our Black Facts, I want to talk about the 7 principles of Nguzo Saba. Umoja. It means unity. To strive for and maintain unity in family, community, nation, and race. Unity stresses the importance of togetherness for the family and the community, which is reflected in the African saying, I am we, or I am because we are. That's principle number 1. Number 2 is Kujichagulia. It means self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Self-determination requires that we define our common interest and make decisions that are in the best interest of our family and community. Number 3, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. Collective work and responsibility reminds us of our obligation to the past, present, and future, and that we have a role to play in the community, society, and the world. Ujamaa, cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses to profit from them together. Cooperative economics emphasizes our collective economic strength and encourages us to meet common needs through mutual support. Nia, it means purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Purpose encourages us to look within ourselves and set personal goals that are beneficial to the community. Kuumba, creativity, which is today. Habari Gani, my brothers and sisters. When you hear someone say Habari Gani, that means what's the news? And you respond by saying what that principle is that day. So when I say Habari Gani, you should say Kuumba. It means creativity. To do always as much as you can in the way that you can in order to leave our community more beautiful than we inherited it. Creativity makes us our creative energies to build and maintain a strong and vibrant community. And our last principle that we'll celebrate tomorrow, New Year's Day, is imani, which means faith. To believe with all our hearts in our parents, our teachers, our leaders, our people, and the righteousness of victory of our struggle. Faith focuses on honoring the best of our traditions, draws upon the best of ourselves, and helps us strive for a higher level of life for mankind by affirming our self-worth and confidence in our ability to succeed and triumph in righteous struggle. So those are your Nguzo Saba, your 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And if you pay attention to all 7 of them, there's a common thread to all of them. And that common thread is community. In every one of those principles, the word community in some form or fashion is in them. Because without community, we are nothing. I am we. I am because we are. Community is how we solve our problems. We must work together in order to build a stronger black nation. Because I am we. I am because we are. And that's our black fact for today.
Listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic black facts, our culture, our history, our people on TuneInRadio.com.
And don't forget, if you want to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, we need you coming into the new year. Let's get that business off the ground. We got some great packages for you. Call me up at 615-554-0568. Yes, that is my direct cell phone number. Say, hey, Dave, I want to advertise on your show. I want to advertise on joynetradio.com. Hey, radio is still proven to be the best form of advertising. So let's get something done here in the next couple of weeks. How about that? Also today, I want to wish my son, Akkili K Coleman. Y'all know, man, he talking about his son again. He always talking about his son. He always, look, I love my son and my daughter. Her birthday will be in 6 months. You hear me talking about her soon. But today is his birthday. So happy birthday to Akkili K Coleman. That means, by the way, kingly understanding in Swahili. By the way, you know I said earlier throughout the show we're going to be talking about things that we're not bringing into 2020. Don't get mad at me. I told you it's going to be a little testy. But let's make sure that we bring black names that mean something. And let's stop making up names that have apostrophes and hyphens in the middle of them that don't belong, that are grammatically incorrect, that if I asked you to spell your baby's name, that you would spell it differently each time I ask you. Will you please stop that? Put a name on your child that means something, that he or she can live up to. And Damadidra just don't work for me. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't get mad. Things that we bring it into, that we're leaving in 2019 and ain't bringing it into 2020. By the way, I will say it again, that this is not the beginning of a new decade. I don't want to hear this Gregorian calendar crap or anything. You know, if you go out and look at Webster and you ask what the definition of a decade is, that you know that Webster or any dictionary will say that it is a period of 10 years. So who's to say that this decade didn't start in 2018? Any swath of a 10-year period or a segment of 10 is considered a decade. So this is not the end of a decade. Now, if you want to use what you're trying to say as logical, then as I told you yesterday, let me give you this example. When your child was born, was he 1 year old? Or did he have to go 12 months before he was considered 1 year old? Y'all follow that logic? Let me do it another way. Take your hands and put them out in front of you, palms up, and count your fingers. You have a decade of fingers. 10 of them. That's what a decade represents. Now, what did you start with? What number? Did you start with 0? or did you start with 1? When you count your money, do you start with 0? You probably do before you get your check. Or do you start with 1? If I'm counting 10 $1 bills right now, am I counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Or am I starting with 1? So again, if you want to use the argument that this is the end of the decade, you certainly can, but you have to go back 10 years. But it's not correct. I'm just saying. And one other little pet peeve that I always say every year is don't ask me how was my New Year's tomorrow or New Year. So there's 2 pet peeves in one. I'm only having one New Year, not New Year's, which is plural, which suggests that there's more than one. I know I'm being a little petty today. I'm sorry. But I'm trying to keep the pettiness into 2019. So don't ask me, hey Dave, how was your New Year? Well, heck, I don't know. I got 364 days to go. Then I'll let you know. So my New Year last year was pretty good. Got a new daughter-in-law, a new granddaughter. Son got married. Stayed in Hawaii for 2 weeks. Got to meet some more networking and move my business a little bit further along. Black Focus Radio grew a lot this past year. That was my New Year last year. So it's going to take a while for me to tell you how my New Year will be coming up. It's going to take about a year. So don't ask me, okay? That is one of the dumbest questions you can ask anybody. What do you don't want to, what is it you don't, I told you don't take them, please don't take those eyelashes. Lord have mercy. I was in the store over the holidays in Memphis. This lady's eyelashes were so long that when she batted her eyes, it felt like it was a tornado coming. Oh, woo, oh, woo, oh, woo, oh, woo. Wait, what is that? Is that a bat? Hey, don't get mad at me, okay? I'm trying to leave all that in 2019, okay? I'm not bringing it into 2020. It's not happening. 2020 is going to be different. Yeah, that's what y'all all say. That's what you all say. Them spandex pants, y'all please. And let me say one other thing. Some of you ladies need to wear some underwear. I'm just saying, you might think it looks sexy. It look nasty. Whatever happened to the slip? You know what I'm saying? Well, back in the day, women wore slips. So you couldn't see all that. Whatever happened to that? I mean, come on, I don't want to see all that anymore. Don't bring that into 2020. 855-525-5683. I'd like to know what you don't want to bring into 2020. By the way, you can catch us on YouTube. We are streaming live right now on Instagram as well. And we got YouTube, we got Facebook. Don't forget you can download the show app where you can download the show on a podcast later on. It'll be posted later on this afternoon. 855-525-5683 is the number. A couple of stories I want to talk about next hour. But I do want to get to this story because, unfortunately, and I talk about police a lot, and unfortunately the police don't do much for their public relations image. I talked yesterday about the police tasering the 70-year-old woman, but she must have been tough. They were probably in fear of their life. And then, of course, the cop who shot at the dog because he was in fear of his life and ended up shooting the little girl in the eye. By the way, he won't serve any time or face any charges, according to the good old judge. So I had planned to talk about the two Alabama police officers who basically gave the chief or wished the chief happy holidays with what they called a homeless blanket. And those of you all don't know what a homeless blanket is, a homeless blanket is a piece of cardboard, which oftentimes homeless people use to cover themselves at night from the elements. And oftentimes there will be notes on that cardboard where they've used to panhandle. And this city of Alabama, Mobile, apparently they've outlawed panhandling. It's amazing to me how many people want to attack the homeless, yet they want to do nothing to help the homeless. You know that goodwill that I told you that you ought to be doing every day as opposed to just doing Christmas? Apparently these cops don't give a damn whether it's every day or Christmas. So they presented their chief with what they call a homeless blanket, where they had taken the signs from homeless people and thought it was cute, thought it was funny. Today, the chief is apologizing because of the two officers that sparked the outrage. And many people didn't know their names. This happened in Mobile, Alabama. The two officers, Preston McGraw and Alexander Oliver, was at the 4th precinct. And it says, we want to wish everybody in the 4th precinct a Merry Christmas, especially our captain. Hope you enjoy this homeless quilt. Sincerely, Panhandler Patrol. Now, you know, there's an old saying is, before you hit send, you may need to reread what you're posting. You may need to take a second look at that photo. So these guys, the Mobile Police Chief, Lawrence Baptiste, had to apologize on behalf of the department. As a police department entrusted with serving and protecting our community, we offer our sincerest apologies for the insensitive gesture of a Facebook post by two of our officers where they were holding up a homeless quilt, quote unquote, made from panhandling signs. Although we do not condone panhandling and must enforce the city ordinances that limit panhandling, it is never our intent or desire as a police department to make light of those who find themselves in a homeless state. Rather, our position has always been to partner with community service providers to help those faced with homelessness with hope to provide their quality of life. I want to applaud the police chief. And notice that was an apology. Notice he didn't say, I want to apologize to any of those who were offended. Anytime you hear that line or any type of vernacular thereof, you know that's not an apology. They're saying, hey, I'm just saying this, but I don't give a damn if I hurt your feelings or not. So these are police. So if they feel that way and they think it's a joke because someone is homeless, how do they really treat people on the street? In my opinion, they should have been fired. Because you have a public relations problems, Mr. Police Officer, and anything you do like that is going to contribute to that negative attitude that people have. It's not because people don't like you, it's because of crap like that that shows that you think you are above the law and you can make light of anyone because you wear a badge. And the irony is that you are being paid by tax dollars. Sad. As 45 would say. Speaking of which, a Wichita, Kansas police officer fabricated a story that a McDonald's employee wrote an expletive on his coffee cup over the weekend. And guess what's happening? The sheriff is having to apologize for this racist. He's a cop. By the way, he's been fired from what I understand. But if there's a civil service commission, he'll quietly get his job back and he'll go on about his business. Or he'll go to another city and bring that crap to your city. That's why their certifications need to be revoked. And I agree with Rizal Aaron that they should be required to carry liability insurance because the taxpayers should no longer have to foot the bill for their improprieties, their illegalities. The cop said, hey, somebody wrote effing pig on his cup. McDonald's fired that employee. Now, here's the question. McDonald's, what you gonna do for the guy you fired that was a lie? Remember, this happened back at somewhere else at Starbucks. This happened at Starbucks. If a cop will make up a lie like that, what else has he lied about? What else will he lie about? I'm sorry. If we're going to give them the badge, then they have to be above reproach. And whenever they run up against that wall, the scrutiny against them needs to be at a higher standard. It's kind of like playing for the football team. If you've ever played college sports or even high school sports, there are things you cannot do because you are an athlete. Your coach will tell you that. And if you, look, he'll say, hey, you're not the other student. You set the example. And when you fall short, then you get suspended, you sit down in games, or you get kicked off the team, depending on how egregious that act is or was. Police are a team. People have to look up to you, or supposed to. So you, police officer, should be held to a higher standard. That's why when you commit crimes, you should not be allowed to retire with your retirement. You should not be allowed to avoid prosecution. You should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law because you are a police officer. You are sworn to uphold the law. 855-525-5683 is the number. Polo cop, he resigned. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. We got a couple other things we want to get through. And by the way, we do have a memorial that I'll go through some names of people that passed away this year as well. There are quite a few of them. Black people. I mean, they've got it. Wow, I didn't know all of that. We'll talk about that a little later on as well. I'd like to hear what you don't want to bring into 2020. I tell you what I don't want to bring into 2020 is Pete Buttigieg. Y'all voting for him? And Michael Bloomberg. So check this out. We got a little more time to cover this story. So if you think that Michael Bloomberg is going to be the type of person that's going to be concerned about you as a black person, you're a fool. Let me give you an example. Oh, I'm drinking some of my homemade tea. It's made with ginger and cloves and cinnamon, some citrus juices. Thought I was going to give you the whole recipe, didn't you? I trick you. Oh, man, and it's just, it has such a wonderful aroma, and it smells so good and tastes so wonderful. But that's so good. Okay. So Michael Bloomberg, y'all remember Stop and Frisk? You know, where the mayor gave carte blanche to police in New York to basically look at a black person and say, hey, you look suspicious, so come over here, I'm going to search you. You know how many civil rights were violated during that time period under Michael Bloomberg's leadership as the mayor of New York? So a couple of weeks ago, he comes out and says, after he decided that he's going to run for president, that it was a mistake. Yeah, you need the black vote. So apparently he was at some event a couple of nights ago, and he was asked about his comments about the Central Park Five. Now, what you don't know about Michael Bloomberg, under his administration of New York, they fought vociferously to keep from paying the Central Park Five the $40 million that they ended up settling on. Okay? So here's what Bloomberg said when he was asked about this, because under his administration, as I said, they didn't want to pay these boys after they had been wrongly convicted and wrongly treated. He says, I've been away from it so long, I just really can't respond because I don't remember. Excuse my vernacular, Michael Bloomberg, but you're a damn lie. That was under your administration. And you don't remember that? See, what that is pandering and condescension to black people. Okay? Let me just read this. Bloomberg's mayoral administration spent years and millions of dollars fighting a civil rights lawsuit filed by the Five that alleged racial discrimination, malicious prosecution, and emotional distress. As mayor, he vigorously defended the actions of police and city officials in the case, arguing that they'd acted in good faith when they arrested and charged 5 Latino and black teenagers in the 1989 rape and assault of a white woman in Central Park. They acted in good faith. No, they didn't. We all know the story now. There was no good faith involved whatsoever on the part of any one of those police officers or the prosecuting attorney. Yet, here is Michael Bloomberg, the guy who wants to be your president, the guy who instituted stop and frisk, who violated all kinds of civil rights. Now you're going to think that he wants to be your president and is going to treat black people with respect? If you vote for this fool, you deserve to be sent down the river. Here's what else he said. I have no idea, Bloomberg said when pressed about his current stance on the case. I've read in the paper, I've been away from government for a long time. So apparently the courts have ruled that they did not commit the crime. And that's the final word, and we have to accept it. No, we don't have to accept it, Michael Bloomberg. They didn't do it. It isn't a question of what anybody believes. You're exactly right, Michael Bloomberg. There was an awful lot of evidence presented at the time that they were involved. No, there wasn't, Michael Bloomberg. In fact, that was trumped up evidence. Those kids were beaten and coerced. Their parents were coerced and threatened. There was no evidence. How dare you insult the intelligence of black people? And you want to run for run for the president? But the sad part about it, some of you black folks out there carrying the flag for Michael Bloomberg right now. Oh, Michael Bloomberg. Really? Are y'all serious? When was the last time a rich person gave a damn about a black person or a poor person? It rarely happens. It rarely happens. So y'all better start paying attention here. As I said yesterday, check your voter registration. Make sure it is up to date. Make sure that if you've been purged, that they give you a legitimate reason why. Because if you've been purged, then all you got to do is go back and re-register wherever you are. Some of you all may be purged. You know, what happens quite often is kids go away to college. They're registered to vote in their hometowns. If you hadn't voted in a while, they're going to purge you. The Republican Party is already bragging about the fact that they are leading a campaign to voter suppression. Don't be fooled, folks. They're already trying to change the laws to benefit themselves. You know why white evangelicals are so in love with Donald Trump? It's because he has appointed 1/4 of the jurors, the judges in the country, federal judges. Because if they can get a judge to say it's okay, then it's okay in their minds. Think about it from this perspective before we go to break. Think about it this from perspective. Plessy versus Ferguson. Think about that. At one point, there were judges in America who sided with white supremacists and slave owners to suggest that separate but equal was okay. The 3/5 compromise was okay. The only way to stop that is make sure that you're getting your butt to vote. Because they're scared. Their actions dictate that they're scared. Because, see, their fear is that when they lose power, that they will be treated the same way that they treated other people. And that just goes to show you that they don't understand black people, because black people are a loving people. Black people are the first to accept you, regardless of your flaws. That's why I tell them all the time, instead of fighting against civil rights, what you ought to be doing right now, white brothers and sisters, is supporting civil rights and making them stronger. So that when you become the minority, because you will become the minority, those same rights and privileges will be afforded to your children and grandchildren. When I come back, I want to look into an article that I read by a white woman to tell white parents why you should be paying attention to your child's social media. We're going to take top of the hour break. We'll be back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. You hear us every day right here on joynetradio.com.
The law offices of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property wrongfully damaged, we may be able to help. Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries@arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
Hello, my name is David Ashley, and I am the host for Real Talk, Real Money. We do this every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. We hope that you'll join us. I want to talk to you about your children, how they can get free money for their education. I want to talk to you about you, how you can start over in your financial health. We want to talk it out. Let's try to figure it out. Real Talk, Real Money. Real Talk, Real Money every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Join that radio. Be there. Join us.
Did you know that 9 out of 10 people like chocolate? And the 10th person always lies. If you're that 10th person, guess what? We've got the special place for you. It's Cocoa Bell Chocolates. Cocoa Bell's handcrafted artisan products inspired by southern desserts for a nostalgic taste. For yourself or for the perfect gift, give us a call at 501-943-7570. That's Cocoa Bell Chocolates. Find out more about our direct services and ordering at CocoaBellChocolates.com.
Hello to quality time at Marco's. Hello to the best part of the day. And to making someone else's. Say hello to late nights and to the best night ever. These are the primo moments, and they call for Italian quality pizza. Dough made from scratch every day. Sauce with a history in the making. From the original Gianmarco recipe. Say hello to an authentic favorite. Every store, every day. The Italian way. Hello, Primo.
I'm Rizal Aaron. We invite you to join us for the Power of Justice broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon right here at JoyNet Radio Studios, where we talk about issues concerning civil rights, human rights, social justice, and all of the areas that impact civil rights and human rights in Arkansas, but also across the country. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend, every Tuesday and Thursday right here at JoyNet Radio, beautiful downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. We look forward to seeing you on the radio.
You got it. He's Little Rock's answer to your aggravation. The Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of Black Focus Radio, the New Year's Eve edition. Hope you all are getting geared up and ready to move into the next year in a positive light. But do yourself a favor and don't wait for a year to do it. Do it every day of your life. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you want to call the show, if you want to talk to me, I'd love to talk to you. What are you not bringing into the new year? I told y'all, them ugly eyelashes. Y'all know the deal, man. Stop that. Okay. I was sitting here in the break looking at a video, and apparently this white couple are in some type of fast food restaurant, and off the screen, a little black kid, he couldn't have been no more than 3 or 4. He dances into the screen, and this is obviously the video from the surveillance camera at the restaurant where they are. So the little black kid, little cute kid, you know how kids, when you go to a McDonald's or any place like that, the first thing that, you know, they're all happy because they can't wait to get one of those Happy Meals. And they dance in there. And for some weird reason, this kid was nowhere around this guy, this white guy, and the white guy just walks up and kicks him. And apparently the white guy didn't realize that daddy was standing right there by him or walking in behind him. And dad laid, let's just put it this way, that right cross to the white guy's face was epic. And if you want to see it, I just posted it on my wall. But see, that's what we've got to do. Look, that's the other thing. White supremacists, we're not taking your BS into 2020. In fact, see, I stopped taking your BS decades ago. I don't care where you started counting the decades. I ain't taking your white supremacist BS no more. I stopped it decades ago. And apparently, black people are saying the same thing. I've told you over and over again that we are not our grandparents. Now you pick up your foot and put it on my children. You lucky dude didn't beat you down like a dog. He only hit you one time. Dude, I'd be pummeling your butt right now because number one, I don't care if it was my kid. You don't have no business whatsoever to put your feet on anyone, let alone a 3 or 4-year-old kid. And you're a grown ass man. That's non-negotiable. And the punch that dad landed on you, you deserve everything you just got. Everything. And as I said, I just posted it on my wall. Go check it out. I think y'all will like it. I mean, I was just stunned, you know. In the break, I go through my Facebook page and look for things that, you know, I might want to cover in the next hour. And it popped up by a good friend of mine, and I'm stunned. By the way, hats off to John Lewis. John Lewis over the weekend was apparently, diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Okay? Need I say more? Pancreatic cancer. If you know anything about that particular form of cancer, it's most of the time fatal, unfortunately. But there's a video of John Lewis out there dancing to Happy. No doubt about it, our prayers are with him. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You've served us well. My hope is that there are other leaders that will come behind him and be as strong and as powerful as he has led us throughout the years. Now, I mentioned Pete Buttigieg. I'm gonna talk about him just for a moment. You know, Pete Buttigieg is having a problem garnering black support. Let me tell you why. And here's why. See, here's the thing about a white supremacist. If you let them talk enough, they will reveal themselves to you. Okay? I don't care how prim and proper they may come off. If you let them talk enough, they will reveal themselves to you. So Pete Buttigieg said in an event last week that U.S. founders didn't know anything, didn't know slavery was a bad thing. Let me say that again. Pete Buttigieg said U.S. founders didn't know that slavery was a bad thing. Now, wait a minute. Even if no one even taught you, wouldn't you think raping little girls was a bad thing? Children. Wouldn't you think raping little boys was a bad thing? Wouldn't you think stealing people from their homeland was a bad thing? Wouldn't you think hanging people was a bad thing under that institution? Wouldn't you think just if you have any moral fibers about yourselves at all, would you not think that what was going on in slavery was a bad thing? I'm just asking because these people are unbelievable to me. And some of you all buy their BS hook, line, and sinker. This guy has no business being president of the United States. None whatsoever. Are y'all serious? Here's a point. James Madison, one of the people who wrote the Constitution, and by the way, owned 118 slaves, admitted to knowing just how immoral and barbaric slavery was. He referred to slavery as a dreadful calamity in a private letter written to Francis Wright in 1825. The magnitude of this evil among us is so deeply felt and so universally acknowledged that no merit could be greater than that of devising a satisfactory remedy for it. That was James Madison. Now, what the hell are you talking about, Pete Buttigieg? Stop excusing those people who subjugated our people because you are doing the same. See, this is why I'm not for that LGBT crap. Because the laws that you live under as a gay male, now here's a killer thing about it. I would never know Pete Buttigieg was gay until he opened up and said he was gay. He looks like a regular male to me. But no matter what door I walk in, you're always going to know I'm black. I don't have to speak a word. All you got to do is look at me. The gay community is not for black rights. They're for their rights. And they've used black people to build their momentum. But when it comes to supporting civil rights for black people, Pete Buttigieg is a classic example of what I'm saying. How can you even fix your mouth to say that the people back then didn't know how bad slavery was? Dude, you're raping little girls. You're raping little boys. You're impregnating little girls and they're having babies at 12 and 13 years old. You're stealing people from their country. And then on this day, every year, every black person that was enslaved feared this day. You heard me read this in Black Facts yesterday. They feared this day because this was the day that they were probably going to be sold. Every New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, black people feared this. This is where really watch night came from. I know people like to say where it came when they were ready to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. No, slaves would gather because many of them would try to escape on New Year's Eve because they knew that they were going to be sold. And their families were going to be split up. Many of them never to be seen again. And Pete Buttigieg, a person who is running for president of the United States, has the unmitigated gall to suggest that the people who instituted slavery in America, the most vicious form of slavery the world has ever known, the most peculiar institution, he has the gall to say they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know it was that bad. The same men who are accredited for writing the Constitution of America, of the United States, the same men who wrote a document that, even though flawed in its existence, its initial existence, has stood for 200 years. The same men who wrote the 3/5 Compromise. Hello? So there's two people that you probably don't need to be voting for. In fact, I don't even listen to what they have to say. I don't want to hear your mouth. You are a hypocrite. You are a liar. You're simply saying things to garner black votes when you really don't give a damn about black people. See, me, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of people coming into my community telling me how much they love me, how much they love our people, and then they do nothing to show it. Think about it from this perspective. You're dating someone and they keep telling, oh, baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. But they never do anything to prove that they love you. They never cook you dinner. They never take you out. They never buy you a gift for your birthday. They never come to you and say, hey, baby, I love you too. That's what politicians do to the black community. And the black community needs to start turning their backs to these politicians. And hopefully by now, you will turn your back to Pete Buttigieg. Because he's an embarrassment. He's a liar. There is no form of slavery that happened in America that was nice. There is nothing that went on in slavery that was nice. The people who suffered during slavery suffered some of their suffering was far worse than Hitler. And that's pretty bad. We today, there is no quantification whatsoever on the number of people who died during slavery. In fact, you can't even give a legitimate estimate of how many people died during slavery. I'm not even talking about the Middle Passage, because many people believe that there are millions of people who died during the Middle Passage, who are at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. No one has even attempted to quantify how many black people died during slavery. And if you go out and you look, and let me just be clear with you, because I'm not just talking about before the Emancipation Proclamation, because see, we get caught up in believing that, hey, after the Emancipation Proclamation, everything was just hunky-dory. Everything, we were free. Y'all do realize that after the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865, There was almost another 100 years of segregation. There was 265 years of slavery, another 99 years for segregation. So 375 years. Of segregation and slavery. And from 1964, when the Civil Rights Act was signed, to today, that's only 51 years. And even today, we are still suffering some of the vestiges of segregation. And you're running for president? You want the black vote? You know, some of us are still fools, but all of us have awakened. And you're seeing it more and more and more. It's time for black people and people who support them to say, we are not having that crap anymore. You should be paying homage to black people in multiple ways, Pete Buttigieg, because the fact of the matter that you are gay, you have benefited on the backs of black people, because it was black people who fought for civil rights. And out of those civil rights came gay rights. And if you're gay out there and you're mad, I don't care, because you know I'm telling the truth. I don't know about y'all, but Pete Buttigieg, he wasn't on my list in the first place. Right, Russ, I agree with you. What the hell is he smoking? He wasn't on my list in the first place, and he ain't on my list now. Nor will he ever be. Oh, by the way, did Joe Biden accidentally say that he would think about nominating a Republican for vice president? Joe, shut up, man. No, you wouldn't. No. Let me ask you a question. See, that's what kills me about Democrats. You all don't understand about Republicans. Republicans will kick your ass and pee on you. But it's always Democrats. Oh, let's just all get along. No, Joe. No, sorry. No, No, you can't. Look, let me tell you this. Let me just put it this way. And those of you out there who are on Joe Biden's Twitter account, and I'm going to send him a message today myself, that you put a Republican on your ticket, you can kiss the presidency goodbye. Because I will not vote for anybody who decides that they're going to put a Republican on their ticket. These Republicans don't care about people. They don't care about anything except themselves. I was reading a story this morning. Remember, at the beginning of the decade, we had something called Citizens United. Citizens United was the case that went before the Supreme Court that allowed corporations to dump tons and tons of money into campaigns. Now, our politicians were already being bought off. This just opened the floodgates. Now we have what we have today. No, sorry. No, Joe Biden, you're not putting a Republican on your ticket. You better shut up before you lose this nomination, because I'm looking cross-eyed at you anyway. You still haven't given me a legitimate answer on reparations, because I guarantee you your family benefited from the free labor of slaves. So I'm still kind of looking cross-eyed at you right now, Joe Biden. I don't care what anyone says. The two people that ought to be running is Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. And if I had to vote right now, it would, in my opinion, it would be Elizabeth Warren. Not too thrilled about her either, but at least she's talking right. At least she's giving the black community the respect that it so desperately is craving. But you want to curry favor to the middle of the road people? Dude, haven't you noticed there aren't any middle of the road people? You want to make sure you hang on to the white vote? Your party is already majority minority, but you want to make sure you hang on to the white vote? Joe Biden, you on crack, dude. Big crack. And so is Pete Buttigieg. Now, one other thing I want to talk about today, we got a couple other things. I want to definitely catch the two stories that we missed out on yesterday. How to recognize a fake news story. Here's another thing that you should not be bringing into 2020, and that's fake news. So I've talked about this a lot on this show, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. I'm going to give you 9 points of why you should not be bringing in fake news. And it's so easy to look up now. Just because you see something and the headlines are great, before you even read the article, you post it. That's how this stuff gets viral. And the majority of it is a lie. A lot of it has been propagated by the Russians, by the Chinese. So here are 9 points that you can use to avoid passing on fake news. You hear me talk about it often. Here's one. Read past the headlines. One way that fake news gets amplified is the busy readers may not look past the headline and opening paragraph before they decide to share an article. I just said that. Fake news publishers sometimes exploit these tendencies, writing the beginning of the story in a straightforward way before filling in the rest with obviously false information. Let me give you an example of one that came across yesterday. Those of you who are Cowboy fans, many of you all are sitting and hoping that Jason Garrett would be fired. Yesterday, about 3 p.m., a news heading came across that said Jason Garrett and his entire staff has been fired by Jerry Jones. That's all I read because I knew it was a lie. But quickly, I went out to a sports website just to look. Nothing. But if you don't read past that first paragraph, you won't know it's a lie. Number 2, check the published date and time. I tell you all the time that when you post something, make sure you check the date. When was it published? Most of the time, fake news will not have a date and it will not have a time. Okay? Another common element in fake news is that old articles or events can resurface and lead people to believe that it just happened. Quite often we post stories about people who have passed away, and that story is 6, 7, 8 months old. Now that's okay, if in fact it's true, but just be aware that old articles can be represented as fake news as well. Number 4 is check the author. Looking at who wrote the article can reveal a lot of information about the news source. Searching through the author's previous articles can show whether they are a legitimate journalist or have a history of hoaxes. Most of the time, if legitimate journalists post articles, they'll have a name and they'll have an archive, or their paper will have an archive, or just simply highlight their name and do a quick search on Google. Nothing comes up, you know it's fake. Now you're saying, well, Dave, we got to do all this. Yeah, you need to. And it only takes a few minutes because once you get used to it, as soon as you click on that article, you'll start, okay, let me see the name, who wrote the byline, okay, and what is the news source? Is it legit? Look at what links and sources are used. A lack of links and sources for claims in the article is an obvious warning sign that the post is false. So in other words, quite often articles refer back to different things to support their article. If they don't have a link or anything like that in that article, that's usually just their opinion or something they've created. Number 6, look out for questionable quotes and photos. It's incredibly easy to fake news writers to invent false quotes, even attributing them to major public figures. Be skeptical of shocking and suspicious quotes and search to see if they have been reported elsewhere. In other words, if you read something and it's so surprising, Google is a wonderful tool. In other words, Google it. See if there's, and that's what I do. If I see something and it's, wow, really? The first thing I do is go out to Google and I put it in Google. How many other sources bring up that same comment or that same news item? if the only source that pops up in your Google window is the source in which you're trying to research, and there are no other legitimate sources, local papers or television stations, just be aware of that, okay? Here's number 7. Beware of confirmation bias. People are often drawn to stories that reinforce the way they see the world and how they feel about certain issues. See Fox News, by the way. Fake news is no exception, and many of the articles that fall under its umbrella are designed to stir up emotion in readers and prey on their biases. It is important to check that news stories are based in fact, rather than sharing them because they support one side of an argument or bolster pre-existing political beliefs. Now, this is key, because there was a new poll that was released just last night that said Fox News has hit an all-time high in its ratings in its 23 years of existence. That's Fox News. What I just read to you was confirmation bias. That's all Fox News is. Let me read this again to you. People are often drawn to stories that reinforce the way they see the world and how they feel on certain issues. Fox News is no exception. I actually added Fox News into that. That's my editorial comment, because this fits Fox News to a T. And many of the articles that fall under its umbrella are designed to stir up emotion in viewers and readers and prey on their biases. We're talking about how you discover fake news. Fox News is one of those. Search if other news outlets are reporting it. I just talked about that. Go out and Google it. See who else is reporting the same thing. Okay? And last, number 9, think before you share. There's an old saying since social media came into play, is that before you hit send, you might want to think a minute. Before you hit send, you might want to reread what you're about to send. I'm going to be honest with you. There have been a lot of things that I've sat and typed up stuff. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get her. Boom. I'm just typing. Then I take a deep breath. And I go back and I reread what I typed. And I say, you know what? This ain't worth it. And I delete it. So before you share things that you seem to be outrageous, fake news is no more than, and what comes to mind to me is, back in the day, I know that you young people don't really realize it, but all of those tabloids and some of them still exist, all of those tabloids that were at the checkout counter, that's fake news. All it has done is migrated to the internet. Hillary Clinton has an alien baby. Remember all that crazy stuff? So I'm simply saying to you, be aware. Don't be part of the ignorance. Don't be part of the game of sharing news that makes no sense to anyone else. One other quick note, a couple other stories here. Black children must be warned. American police are a danger to black life. This article was written by Jason Williams from a website called truereads.com in the lifestyle section. I've shared a lot of stuff from this website. It is legitimate. And this is his opinion. But this is a great article, and I totally am on with this. Police are not black people's friends. And we need to quit lying to our children as such. We need to teach our children not to trust police. I know that's sad, but you cannot trust police. There have been too many things that are going on based on their history and what is going on today that you cannot trust police. The best thing that you can do when you're stopped by police is invoke your rights to remain silent. Don't talk to them. Don't give them anything except your ID when you're driving. 855-525-5683. This article also is on my wall. Go out and check it out. I do too, Russ. When they posting fake news, I don't have time for your fake news. I want to make sure that the information that I give to people is going to be correct. You know, your feelings, okay. Tell me, well, I feel this way or I believe this way. But don't tell me that as fact. I have a conversation with some friends about feeling versus fact. They want to get all up in the feeling, but I like to deal with facts. Because facts are provable. Feelings and beliefs are just that. Feelings and beliefs. Okay? 1 + 1 will always be 2. 12 times 12 will always be 44. But we got over 100 different religions in this world. That's belief. But 5 times 5 = 25 will always be such. That's fact. There are 9 planets. There is a solar system. H2O is a chemical representation of water. That's fact. The planet is thawing out. That's fact. (855-525-5683) is the number. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to go over some names that we lost this year. Didn't realize there were so many. But a couple of things I want to cover real fast. The Attorney General has launched a war on civil rights. That's Bill Barr. It's been problematic. People are concerned. The question is, are you paying attention? Because 2 weeks ago, he comes out and says, basically, poor people ought to be happy. And if we can't support the police, then we don't deserve protection. Well, isn't that what the police are supposed to do? But what he didn't understand is that in the black community, we don't get protection from police anyway. Here in Little Rock proper, the police in this city is an occupying force. They are vigilantes. They are mercenaries. Because 80% of them don't live in Little Rock. So why should I support them when they don't care about my city? If you cared about my city, then you would be living in my city. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that this is another example of why you need to make sure that your voter registration is up to date and that you are going to make plans. I don't care. Look, this is probably going to be the most important election in my lifetime. I have never said that before. Some of you all claim that it was President Obama. No, it wasn't. All the election that President Obama did has made you black people feel good. What did you get out of it? And what were the results? The results of President Obama's election is Donald Trump. And now we are at a crossroads in this country. Either we're going to live together as brothers or we're going to perish as fools, as I quote Dr. King. And right now, there are a certain segment in this country who would rather perish as fools. And if you don't do something about it by getting your butt to the polls and voting, that's the first shot that needs to be fired. Is at the polling booth. And the fact that an attorney general does not believe in civil rights, because again, many white males are afraid that they are losing their power. This is not a joke. I've talked about Dr. Francis Cress Welsing for years about this fear of white genetic annihilation. That's real. In over 22 states, whites are already the minority in this country. Whites in 14 states are dying faster than they are being born. That's natural selection. It has nothing else to do with anything else except white genetic annihilation. And they knew it was coming. Black people didn't. Some black scholars did. When I first started reading about it, I didn't really understand it until I kept reading about it. So you've got an attorney general who is basically saying, hey, we're not going to protect black folks if y'all don't bow down to us. Y'all don't bow down to police, a force that already has basically immunity when it comes to murdering black people. You saying I'm being hyperbolic? You know I can pull up a list of names. The most recent is Botham Jean, Atiana Jefferson. I could go on and on. Get to the polls, my brothers and sisters. Get down to your registration office. I will be taking people to the polls if you need it. But whatever you do, if you've set them out before, there is a war on civil rights. Because, see, they think that, hey, if we can just change it in the law, then we can take it back to where it was. Remember, at one point in this time, in this country, slavery was the law. It was legal. So those of you who don't think that this country no longer has the capacity to subjugate men and women and a group of people, you're a liar. You're lying to yourself. You're not paying attention because that subjugation never ended. It continues on. (855-525-5683). Now, how do we solve this problem? I said we. Well, I know how black people, we talk about it all the time. We talk about how it's important for us to start making sure that our monies are going to the right causes. Because what we're finding is that things are not changing. And I'm going to talk a little bit here in a moment about how black dollars are ignored. But I also want to talk a little bit right now about a lady by the name of Joanna Schroeder, a white lady who got a real life wake-up call about her son. And this is why black people and people who support black people need to be paying attention. I'm going to read a little bit to you. Joanna Schroeder has a warning for parents of teen and tween white boys. If you don't pay attention to their online lives, the white supremacist will. I've been saying, remember Charlottesville? And I kept saying, those guys who were marching, talking about we will not be replaced, those guys were not even born during the civil rights struggle. Those young white males had to be taught that hatred. Now the question has to be asked, are they being taught that hatred at home with their parents? Some of them are. But some of their parents are so naive that they don't realize that oftentimes online is where this stuff is festering. I know for a fact, because when I used to play online video games, there were groups of white racists, little kids, who would use all kinds of racial epithets. They would form teams that had racist names. Here's what Ms. Schroeder says. They've studied the way of our young men, how they interact online. And they have looked at what these boys need. And they have learned how to fill those needs in order to entice them into propaganda. You know what I first thought about when I read this article? That's the same thing that gangs do. That's the same thing that gangs do. the Crips and the Bloods, gangster disciples. That's what she found when she asked her own teenager if they could go through some of his social media together. He was scrolling quickly, really quickly, she said. It was so fast and he slowed down and I saw an image of Hitler and I stopped him and I said, wait, is that Hitler? It was. A meme depicting Hitler and implying a time traveler would have tipped him off about the future to keep him alive had popped up on the boy's Instagram suggestions. I know my kids understand Hitler, but as I scrolled through his social media, I saw more memes that joked about the Holocaust and joked about slavery. It seemed to be desensitizing our kids to things we should be sensitive to. This is Joanne Schroeder. You think this isn't real? Just yesterday, the story came out about the West Virginia governor. And I want to give him some applause because there was a cadet crew that was for the correctional facility that graduated. And for some reason or another, they decided that they were going to give the Heil Hitler salute. The West Virginia governor saw it and he fired every one of them. And he should have. This is not a game, folks. See, remember the story that came out about the Naval Academy and the Army Academy, the game where the white supremacist was giving the white power sign? And then they tried to claim that it was some game. See, they think we are stupid. Oh, that's not the white power sign. We're just playing a game. Every time somebody see that sign, no. It means white power. We need to understand that. We need to know, and I want to take my hats off to the governor of West Virginia who said we're not having that mess. Just last week, there were 2 National Guardsmen that was kicked out of the Guard because of their white supremacist ties. The same should be happening with our police forces. Now look, we can't tell you what's in someone's mind and heart, but we can certainly tell you what's in their social media. Just like employers are searching your social media when they hire you, why aren't police officers in the National Guard and the service academies searching social media? Just like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has had a fantastic year at LSU. But guess what? Joe Burrow, when he was a young lad a few years ago, was a racist. Has he changed? We got to start paying attention. Racism is everywhere. And we've got an administration that has condoned it, who has not only condoned it, but propagated it for his own benefit and will continue to do so because that's what a racist does. And because of that, we've seen an increase in hate crimes. We've seen Jewish synagogues being being attacked, people being killed. We've seen schools being attacked. At some point, we need to wake up. At some point, those of us who are with like minds have to say, hey, we're not going to take this anymore. Long as you allow this to fester, it will continue to grow. They have no reason to stop. They don't care to stop. Because they want it the way they want it. They want to rule everything, white males and some white females. As long as their white males are doing well, the white females don't care. And they will use any tactic whatsoever to push their agenda, even the church. Finally, some evangelicals are waking up. Finally, some white evangelicals are saying, wait a minute. How is it that we can sit here and talk about the love of Christ and we love a man who hates Christ? We love a man who hates everything Christ stands for. You can't sit here and condone putting children in cages. You cannot condone on Christmas not allowing a woman to give presents to incarcerated children. You cannot allow children not allowed to take a flu shot and dying on floors of those jails. You cannot tell me that that is what Jesus would do. So finally, some of these evangelicals are waking up. But the question that I have to ask you, those of you who are finally getting the P out of your eye, that's PEA, what took you so long? If you really believed in the principles of goodwill and what Jesus stood for, it shouldn't have taken you 3 years to figure out that that fool in the White House is the epitome of the devil. He's been accused of rape, sexual assault. How could you even fix your mind to believe that this was an individual that was going to be the Messiah? It's time to stop. Because I've told you, black folks ain't going back. We are not our grandparents. Last few minutes of the show, I want to go over a few people that passed away, famous black people this year. Or just some names that pop out. Jack Lyle was Captain Jack Lyle and one of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen and decorated war hero who served in World War II. He was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 2007. He died of complications related to prostate cancer. He flew 26 combat missions. He died January 5th at age 98. Leslie Brown, who was believed to be the oldest person in the U.S. at the time of her death, died at 114 years in Cleveland Heights in Ohio. Family members attributed her long life to the fact that she ate a sweet potato nearly every day. But Brown said it was just God's will. She died on January 8th. In February, Michelle King was Los Angeles school superintendent who became the first African-American woman to lead the nation's second largest school district. She succumbed to cancer and died February 2nd at 57. Christophe St. John. Soap opera fans will remember Christophe St. John from his role as Neil Winters on The Young and the Restless. The longest-running African-American character to appear on the series, he earned 2 Emmy Awards and 10 NAACP Awards for the role. St. John died February 3rd from a stroke at 53. Frank Robertson, the famed Hall of Famer outfielder, broke barriers when he became Major League's first black manager for the Cleveland Indians in 1975. He was also the only player to win the Most Valuable Player award in both the National and American Leagues. He died of bone cancer at 84 on February 7th. Don Newcomb began his career in professional baseball as a pitcher in the Negro Leagues for the Newark Eagles. By the way, many of you will have asked, who are the Black Barons? They were the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro League, this hat that I wear. He would go on to play for the Major League and the Brooklyn and Los Angeles Dodgers, the Cincinnati Reds, and the Cleveland Indians. While he was not the first black pitcher in the major leagues, he was the first black superstar pitcher, winning the first Cy Young Award as baseball's top pitcher. He also became the first black pitcher to start a World Series game. He died February 19th. He was 92. Andre Williams. R&B singer, producer Andre Williams utilized a spoken word technique that earned him the nickname the Godfather of Rap. He hit the big with Motown, co-writing Thank You for Loving Me All the Way for a 13-year-old Stevie Wonder. He died on March 7th from colon cancer in Chicago. He was 82. Nipsey Hussle. Born Amias Joseph Ashmedon. He was a beloved rapper, entrepreneur, and activist. He became widely known for his mixtapes. His debut album, Victory Lap, was nominated for the Best Rap Album in 2019, which features collaborations with Kendrick Lamar, Diddy, and YG. He was also known for the activism and community service around South Central Los Angeles. He died March 31st. He was 33. When Boys in the Hood came out in 1991, it was one of the first films to examine life in the 80s in South Central Los Angeles. John Singleton was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Director at only age 24, becoming the first black person and the youngest person to ever be nominated. He went on to direct other iconic films, including Poetic Justice, Baby Boy, and Rosewood. Some say his best work was the creation of the television crime drama Snowfall, about the rise of the crack cocaine epidemic. He died April 28th after suffering a stroke. He was 51. Chris McNair was the father of Denise McNair, one of the 4 little girls who was killed on the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham, Alabama in 1963. Chris McNair was a former legislator and former Jefferson County Commissioner until 2001. He died May 8th. He was 93. Michelle Tamika Washington was an advocate for trans people and was shot multiple times May 19th in Philadelphia. She was 40. Patricia Bath, Dr. Patricia Bath, who was an ophthalmologist, was an early pioneer of laser cataract surgery and the first black female doctor to receive a medical patent. She co-founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness and served as a professor of ophthalmology at Howard University School of Medicine. She died on May 30th at the age of 76. Bushwhack Bill, rapper and record producer. He died of stage 4 pancreatic cancer. June 9th. He was age 52. Zoe Spears, 23, was found shot to death on June 13th in Fairmont Heights, Maryland. She died June 13th. Jerry Lawson, lead singer for The Persuasions, was also a producer, singer, and musical arranger. His smooth baritone led the 5-member group for 4 decades. They were called America's most enduring a cappella group. He died July 10th, 1970, at 75. Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker was a 4-weight world champion boxer, winning titles as a lightweight, light welterweight, and light middleweight. He started as an amateur at age 9. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2006. He died on July 14th. He was age 55. Art Neville. The New Orleans icon Art Neville, known as Papa Funk, was a singer, songwriter, and keyboardist. He was a founding member of the Meters, a pioneering group that defined funk, and the Neville Brothers. The Neville Brothers, which included Art and his brothers Aaron on vocals, Cyril on drums, and Charles on saxophone, became a New Orleans institution. Neville died on July 22nd at the age of 81. Toni Morrison. was one of America's greatest writers, a Nobel Prize winning legend who was also a mother, professor, and editor, who gave voice to the black community through her stories of love, racial strife, and everyday life. Being a black woman writer is not a shallow place to write from. It doesn't limit my imagination, it expands it, she told the New York writer Hilton Owls. Her books like Tar Baby, The Blue Eye, Song of Solomon, Sula and Beloved captured both the horror and beauty of black life, which with slow-paced lyrical prose that revealed her obvious love for complicated characters. She died August 5th at age 88. Robert Mugabe, who was the first prime minister and president of post-independence Zimbabwe. He was an outspoken critic of colonial powers in the West, but his reign would end in political violence and economic hardship for the country's citizens. He died September 5th at age 95. Diane Carroll, Bronx, New York native, an actress, model, activist, who was the epitome of class. She broke barriers on TV as the first black woman to star in a series in a non-domestic role with the 1968 debut of Julia. One of her most memorable roles was the diva Dominique Devereaux on the nightly soap opera Dynasty. She received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress as her role in the film Claudine. She won a Tony Award for Best Actress in a leading role for a musical, the first for a black woman for No Strings. She died October 4th at 84. Atiana Jefferson, sadly, was added to the list of people shot by white officers. She was shot through a window while in her own home after a neighbor called police for a non-emergency welfare check. Recently, the Texas cop who she shot was indicted for murder. She died on October 12th at the age of 28. Elijah Cummings continuously fought for his hometown of Baltimore, including against President Trump, who called his city rat-infested. Cummings also fought to impeach President Trump as the chairman of the House Oversight and Reform Committee, one of 3 House committees that investigated the president. Cummings died October 17 at age 68. John Conyers served more than 50 years in Congress, becoming the longest-serving African-American member in Congress as a U.S. representative from Michigan, and the 6th longest-serving in Congress in U.S. history. He died October 27th. John Witherspoon, famed actor, comedian, known as Granddad, the crotchety dad in Friday franchise, and the voice of Granddad in Boondocks. He also appeared in a number of TV shows and movies, including Hollywood Shuffle, The Wayans Brothers, The Richard Pryor Show, The Incredible Hulk, Good Times, Tracy Morgan, Vampire in Brooklyn, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Boomerang, and Black Jesus. He died October 29th. He was 77. Clay Evans, Pastor Clay Evans, Edna Smith Primus, Christine Chambers, Phase 2, Richard Hatcher, James Radio Kennedy, Herman Boone, Yashiri Nesby, Chuck Turner, and Bryce Gowdy, among many others. I hope you have a safe New Year's Eve. Be careful out there. There will be a lot of fools. And I want to make sure that I see you next year. So on behalf of all of us here at Joynet Radio and Black Focus Radio, I wish all of you tons and tons of peace. And don't forget to go out and celebrate Kwanzaa, because tomorrow is the day of Imani. Now, as I leave before we go, I had a quote that I wanted to read to you, so let me see if I can find it real fast. Instead of buying your children all the things you never had, you should teach them all the things you were never taught. Material wears out, but knowledge stays. That's Bruce Lee. We'll see y'all next Monday. Be safe out there. And by the way, I want to thank all of you all who gave us tons and tons of love throughout this 2019 year as we enter into the last year of this decade. Peace.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on joynetradio.com.
All right, folks. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all in a few days. Talk to you soon. Love you all. Love you all. And thanks for all the support you're giving this station and this show. I wish each of you peace.